Sister, your story. How did you convert it to Islam?
Well, brother, it didn't happen overnight. Somewhere in the back of my head, I knew that my perception of all Muslims couldn't be entirely correct. And I had started going back to Pal Talk, just checking it out, not entering any rooms. I hadn't been on that social media site for a long time, several years actually, and was very active there several years before. And really nothing caught my attention except for one room, which was called Muslims and Non-Muslims Let's Reason Together. I didn't enter that room the first couple of times I saw it, but I kind of kept thinking about let's reason together, which really sounded fairly peaceful. And I thought it would be worth my time to perhaps get a different opinion of Muslims if I went into that room. So the next time I went on Pal Talk, I did click on that room and enter. And I was greeted very cordially, and people that were in the room welcomed me. And Brother Abdullah asked me if I would share what my religion was. And I did get on the microphone and say I'm a Christian. And they still made me feel very welcome. And people chatted with me, talked with me more about who I am, and told me a little bit about who they were. And so that first meeting was very pleasant, and I enjoyed it very much. So I made it a point to find out when the room was open, and made it a point to go back. And from there on in, I began to listen very carefully when Brother Abdullah and you, Brother Assad, would get on the microphone and teach. And I learned a lot about Islam that I just never thought was possible. And I learned a lot about Christianity that I never thought was possible. Some of the long-held beliefs that I had that I thought I would never give up. And it was something that took several months. I remember I had been going to the room for about 6 months. And the way that I remember that was because Brother Abdullah had a new son, and at the time when I first went in, and he said his son was 4 months old, and his son was about 10 months old when we were talking about my converting. So it was a long process. There were some things about Christianity that were very hard for me to give up. And I still find times when I think I'm wrong. And then I don't, and then I understand. But, I mean, I just understand it's something that's been with me for so many years that it just kind of keeps coming up once in a while. But after just a few months of going there, maybe 2 months, maybe 6 weeks, I don't know, I bought a copy of the Quran. The Sahih International was what Brother Abdullah recommended. And I started to read. And at first I was pretty confused. It certainly doesn't read like the Bible. And after the first couple of chapters, I was just thinking that I don't have any context here. How am I going to understand this? And Brother Abdullah just urged me to keep reading. So I did. As I read, it began to make more sense to me. And probably after I'd been reading for a couple of months, 3 months, maybe even less, I thought, I'm reading truth here. This is the truth. And for a long time in my head, I went back and forth with, this is the truth, but how do I reconcile that with my Christian beliefs? And also, all along that same time, I continued to weekly go into the Muslim, Non-Muslims Let's Reason Together room, and would hear Brother Abdullah talk, and you, Brother Assad. And it just became more convinced. And there was one time when Brother Abdullah was talking about the Trinity I know I got on the microphone 2 or 3 times and asked him to stop. But after that, I started listening more. And when he was talking about the Trinity, and just all of a sudden, it made sense to me. He made sense to me. And I said, "You've opened my eyes." And he said, "Well, alhamdulillah." And, of course, that was the start. I started having to learn alhamdulillah and inshallah. And, it was just great. I started to learn. And both of you taught me. And I continued to read the Quran. And at some point, I said I wanted to become a Muslim. And as I say, it was a process that took several months, probably at least 6 months, if not more. And I just haven't looked back. I'm absolutely at peace with my decision. I'm absolutely joyful at my decision. I'm so happy that I think I found the true path to guidance, and I would like, in some way, to be able to share that so that other people can know that Islam is about peace and following the path to guidance, following Allah's words and Allah's commands, being Allah's servant on earth, and knowing that Allah is ever near, oft merciful, oft forgiving.
Like, share, and subscribe to create awareness. We are also available on Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. Join us on Pal Talk, a place where Muslims and non-Muslims can reason together and share understandings to remove misconceptions about each other and come close. We entertain various subjects from politics to theology, and to answer questions, we have scholars of great eminences who are experts on matters such as politics, theology, science, history, etc. We also have female scholar who can address if requested by the sisters. This is an attempt to build bridges between people of different faiths. For the schedule of weekly events, please visit our Facebook page, facebook.info.truth.shall.prevail, or contact with the Pal Talk ID share_here or free_speech_. The Pal Talk room owner ID is truth_shall_prevail. For the tutorial on how to install Pal Talk and join our room, click here. You can also watch our videos on apostasy in Islam, Taqiyya, abrogation and contradiction in Quran, history of Islam, and more on our YouTube channel.